Welcome, 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 everyone. This is See Through. It is a podcast with me, Achita Gopi, and I am so grateful and glad to see all of you here. This is a place where we come to gain some spiritual clarity and also to support each other, associate with each other, be there for each other. So, in that way, see through takes on two meanings: see through to gain clarity, and see through to walk with one another on this path of spirituality. So, if you are a first timer, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome over and over again. So grateful for all of you. We are and have been taking a journey through Krishna book, given to us as a summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this 10th canto summary study was given by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, founder of ISKCON and the Hare Krishna movement as it began to blow up as we know it. And as we go through the chapters of this Krishna book, I like to intersperse sometimes some other literatures that give us some more details or a different perspective or a different way of looking at the same pastime. So just about 2 weeks ago, we were reading through the story of Krishna blessing the wives of the Brahmanas, also known as the Yajna Patnis. Krishna tends to bless a lot of wives. There's the Naga Patnis, or the wives of Kaliya, the snake wives. So Patni is a wonderful word which means wife. And so the Yajna Patnis were the wives of those performing yajnas, or the Brahmanas. And we have the Naga Patnis, who were the wives of the snake king and aggressor Kaliya. And so we went through that some time ago, and I like to add in different perspectives. So we read from Garga Samhita, we read from so many different things. So 2 weeks ago we read from Krishna book, and this week we'll be reading from Ananda Vrindavan Champu. So this is another great text which is going to give us some insight into this amazingly wonderful pastime. And we just get a chance to dive deeper and deeper into the sweetness. This is kind of what I love about Krishna consciousness. For any of you who love reading like I do, and I've said this before, my problem with reading was sometimes the journey stopped with the characters. It ended. They didn't write any more books. What am I supposed to do then? And here I find that these characters are eternal. And so they live on and on. The adventure always continues. Even when I read a story that I've already read, it's like fresh, ever new. The adventure is already here again, and somehow I am on the edge of my seat every single time. So, with that said, we will lovingly dive into this narration of Ananda Vrindavan Champu. But first, we have a little bit of a Mangala Charana to take care of, or some prayers of welcoming in auspiciousness. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So juicy. I offer my respects and my obeisances, my prayers, and my very self unto my gurus who have opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, who have smeared the ointment or the cosmetic of love across my eyes. I offer my respects to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who who crossed many oceans and many seas, coming to this place simply to give Krishna consciousness, love for Krishna, devotional service to Krishna, and to somehow eradicate the diseases of impersonalism and voidism. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda, the fathers of Sankirtan, glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and my supreme best friend, Shri Krishna. I offer my obeisances to their associates Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas, the entire Panchatattva, who has come to bestow what no other incarnation has ever bestowed before, somehow or other pure, loving, devotional service unto the Supreme Person. And I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you, all of the assembled Vaishnavas, friends, spirit souls, who are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone because they are kind and compassionate at heart. Welcome, welcome. In our YouTube family, I see so many friendly, familiar faces. Ashi, thank you. And by faces, I mean little circles and your names. So good to see all of you. Please give a shout out. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And, tune in joyfully. This process of devotional service is supposed to be joyfully performed. And we only kind of get through it with each other, isn't it? So, we will be diving into Ananda Vrindavan Champu. First, we need a little bit of a magical incantation. I was telling a story on Tuesday at the Bhakti Center, and I was leading Kirtan, and I kind of called it Vedic Airways. We need a magical incantation to take us along our airways, to take us along our fantastical adventure and our journey. And it's one of those moments you can kind of sit back, relax. If you have the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, you can read along, and if you don't, so much the better. We can listen with each other and just be involved in hearing about the sweet pastimes of our Krishna. Somehow or other, Krishna makes everything amazing. Everything he does is just always the most amazing thing that has ever been done. I constantly find myself surprised by Krishna's attitude and the way that he works things out. Whoop. So, if you are joining on YouTube, I am going to put a link to Patreon there just in case you'd like to join the Patreon and show your support in that way and get access to our Zoom room and be in the Cool Kids Club and get really fun special perks. Also on my website, which I'll put if I can make it work right, there are links where you can get a personalized tarot reading from me, because I do those. And I'm really good at them. So please feel free to check that out. And, we don't often hear anyone say that they're really, really good at something. I think I'm going to change that mindset. Let's normalize saying what we're good at. Because these are all qualities that Krishna has given to all of us. So kind of like astrology. The Vedic sages and seers were really adept at reading all kinds of energetic signs. They could read a person's face. They could read a person's physiology. They could read a person's palms. They could read a person's feet. They could look into the eyes of someone and already start to know where their mindset was. They could look at signs. They could look at the quivering of one side of the body versus the other side of the body and already know if auspicious or inauspicious things were yet to come. So all of this is a way of looking at transmitting energetic fields and then just interpreting them. So while I do like to think of it as magic, because I like being magical and mystical, it's also just very scientific and just attuning ourselves to seeing things a certain way and then interpreting those symbols. So please take a look. Let me know what you think. So with our magical incantation, which is quite mystical, I assure you, promise you, we will start our journey into the land of Sri Vrindavan Dham, a place where every word is a song, every step is a dance, and love is somehow infusing every single action of every single person. Love, in some way, shape, or form, is directing, navigating, and starring in every single one of these pastimes. I think we're ready for an amazing adventure. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I already feel transported. Chapter 13 of Ananda Vrindavan Champu, showing favor to the wives of the sacrificial Brahmanas. So, while performing the pastime of stealing the gopis' clothes, Krishna temporarily forgot about tending the cows. As he returned to his friends, Krishna savored bliss within his heart, produced by eating the deliciously sweet fruit born on the creeper of conjugal love. So a champu is thus named because it likes to combine narrative storytelling and poetic language. So what we'll find in here is a lot of poetic language, beautifully interspersed within all of these descriptions. And I love it because it just reminds me of how incredibly romantic bhakti is and should be and is supposed to be. And I feel like no matter our gender, no matter our body, we all need a little bit of romance in our lives. Keeps us from turning bitter, you know? So, Krishna savored bliss within his heart, produced by eating the deliciously sweet fruit born on the creeper of conjugal love. That is a sentence that my writer mind can definitely get behind. Balaram, the wielder of the plow, and the cowherd boys enthusiastically welcomed Krishna with feelings of joy. They entered the forest to continue their merrymaking and tending the cows. And as I was saying, if you have realizations, please put them in the chat boxes wherever you're watching, because I would love to include them in this session. Krishna glorified Balaram and his intimate friends. "Oh, cultured friends. Oh, Stoka Krishna, I am so happy to see you. Oh, Angshuman, even while fighting, your body looks beautiful and effulgent. Oh, Sridhama, you are adorned with the opulent garland of all good fortune. Hey, Subal, your strength is the wealth of your intense love. Oh, Arjuna, your white color is due to the pure fame of your deep love." This is not to be confused with the Pandava Arjuna. There are two. There's a Gopa, a cowherd boy named Arjuna, and there's a Pandava named Arjuna. Which is incredible. Like, I really liked Subal's welcome. Your strength is the wealth of your intense love. Oh, Vishal, the greatness of your love is always joyfully displayed. Oh, Ojaswi, you are elegant due to your brilliant strength. O Devaprashta, your form is the crest jewel on the mountain peak of fraternal affection. O Varutapa, because you have controlled the chariot of your mind, your commands are always obeyed. We will see this image of the chariot of the mind come up again. And I'll be inserting some prayers, begging Krishna to take the reins of the chariot of the mind and help us. Look, my friends, just see the splendorous beauty of the forest grove. The trees look very attractive with their coral reddish buds enveloped by tender reddish green leaves. They look just like pairs of embracing lovers. The densely foliated branches of the trees completely cover the sky in all directions. Although many varieties of birds sit on the small branches, they are not bound there. They are independent and beyond the control of Cupid. What to speak of the radiant beauty of Vrindavan's trees, which is beyond the comprehension of the mind and words. Even if one takes birth in the effulgent and worshipable land of Vrindavan as an insignificant plant, he should still be accepted as a saint. What I love is how Krishna is welcoming everyone, not just his friends, the trees, the dust of Vrindavan, the animals of Vrindavan. Imagine, Krishna knows all of us so well that he will personally welcome us all with little commentaries about what he thinks is best about us. Like, how incredibly cute and adorable is our Supreme Lord? Imagine him welcoming you into his midst. Welcome, friend, with what he thinks you're good at. The strength of our love, our bodily effulgence just due to our immense love. How incredible. The Gopa Arjuna's coloring had nothing to do with some bodily designation, but it was all somehow an external reflection of what the love was that he was feeling inside. How incredible. How sweet and adorable, and how personal is Krishna. This is kind of why sometimes bhakti acharyas and teachers speak of impersonalism as a bit of a disease. That impersonalism robs us of having a spiritual best friend who knows the best things about us. How can we interact with a supreme effulgent light? I am not there yet. Some of you might be greater yogis than me, but I personally am not there yet. And in being authentic and honest in that way of saying, I am not there yet, somehow that purchases Krishna, the supreme person. And that supreme person is hungry and yearning for individual relationships with every single one of us. So we see that within society, incredible things happen when people are deprived of love. When people are deprived of love and they're also deprived of ways to show love, we get a host of disorders. We get a host of people acting in abominable, horrific ways. And it starts from an incapability of expressing love and receiving love. And so in this bhakti yoga tradition of divine love and devotional service, it is a school to really fix that problem that everyone is searching to fix, which is, how am I able to express love and to receive love at all times in the way that is best for me? So, hunters attain the supreme happiness by using their bows and arrows to spoil the enjoyment of their enemies. Saints find delight within their purified minds and softened hearts. Karmis reap the fruits of their piety to taste the joy of heaven. Kshatriyas take pleasure in killing tigers and taking their skins as spoils. But just from the bark, leaves, or fruit of a tree in Vrindavan, one can derive inconceivable happiness. Taking birth as a tree in Vrindavan, therefore, is itself a perfection fulfilling all the needs of the soul. This is Krishna's very own opinion. However you take birth in Vrindavan, it's great. By speaking such matchless, enchanting words, Krishna fulfilled the desires of his friends. Continuing his delightful childhood pastimes, Krishna meandered along behind the cows. Since the cows had eaten a lot of grass, they felt thirsty and walked slowly. Out of affection, Krishna brought them to the Jamuna to drink some water. What a sweet sentence. The cows didn't even have to look toward Krishna with big, big eyes, communicating with mooing sounds that, oh Krishna, we're thirsty. Oh Krishna, we've eaten so much grass and we're feeling a little bit lethargic. Krishna instinctively knew. He already could tell by the way they were moving. He could already tell by the way that they were walking, by the way that they traveled. He could already tell just by feeling them heart to heart exactly what they needed in that moment. And out of affection, he gave them exactly what they needed in that moment. Can I remember that even when I fail to express with words to Krishna what I need, that he knows me better than my own heart? Can I remember that instinctively he will know just by the way that I'm moving through life what I need at that exact moment, and with affection he'll give me that very thing? Can I remember that? Especially when things don't go exactly the way I think they should go. Sometimes what I think I need is not exactly what I need. But Krishna knows. Can I trust Krishna as his cows trusted him? And since it is Taurus season and I happen to be a Taurus, I'm all about cows this season. The tall trees on either side of the sandy path provided soothing shade. Accompanied by Balaram, his Gopa friends and cows, Krishna happily approached the river Jamuna. If Krishna and his friends had not appeared on earth, no one would have understood the sweet moods of love. Aww. While the cows sipped the crystal clear water, Krishna rested on the root of a tree beside the path. What a fortunate root. Shining radiantly, Krishna made a plan within his mind to test the loving affection of the chaste wives of the Yajna Brahmanas. Playing and roaming through the forest all day with the cows made the boys feel tired and hungry. The drops of perspiration on their weary faces looked like dewdrops on wilted lotus flowers. Due to hunger, they looked weak and lusterless. In this distressed condition, the cowherd boys fearlessly appeared to Krishna and Balaram, who were busy relishing the sweet smell of musk that pervaded the air. Which just goes to remind me, even before I read this section, that every single one of us is Krishna's friend. And so as Krishna's friend, we have certain rights. One of our rights is to fearlessly ask for what we need. Why fearlessly? Because Krishna's our friend. Why wouldn't he intervene on my behalf? We have to absolutely believe it. I was reading something recently, and they said, you ever get that feeling of, oh, I knew that was going to happen? Usually with bad things. We're like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. But some of the bad things that happen when we just knew that was going to happen is because we focused it with such intention that that's what happened. What if we could turn that around and start training ourselves to say, oh, I knew that was going to happen with the best things. With the best things. I can tell you, it works. It works especially well in a spiritually charged place like Vrindavan. I have tested it out unknowingly. It was not exactly my intention to test it out, but tested it out, and it does work. So if we can, just a little bit each day, retrain the mind to say, I just knew that was going to happen. I actually just knew that was going to work out for me. Somehow, it creates the conviction, the belief, the faith that begins to bring those things to fruition. Let's see what the boys say. while fearlessly asking Krishna and Balaram for help. The boys said, "You are the Supreme Personalities? O Balaram, you are very strong, handsome, and radiant. O Krishna, your color resembles a fresh monsoon cloud, and you have very powerful arms." Okay, one thing that I learned from Sachinandan Swami is prayer is a little bit of a 4-step process, right? And I see you, Leeleshwari, nodding. You have also heard this from Sachinandan Maharaj, because it is such a genius formula. Step 1, glorify Krishna. Look at these sweet boys. They're little kids. So when we think, step 1, glorify Krishna, we're like, oh no, I'm not Brahma. I'm not like any of these people. But can you be like a little 6, 7, 8-year-old boy? Like, look at how sweet their glorification is. Oh Balaram, you are very strong, handsome, and radiant. Done. Oh Krishna, your color resembles a fresh monsoon cloud, and you have very powerful arms. That's it. They just were stating facts. This is what the glorification of Krishna is all about, stating the best facts about Krishna. Step 2 is to describe your situation. Let's see what the boys do. We are being harassed by hunger, and you should do something about it. We feel like the virulent venom of a snake is burning us. Our raging appetites have turned our bellies into pots of burning fire. We cannot find any relief. Oh, beloved friends, you too must think how to take away our agony. So, they covered steps 1 and 2. They described their situation. Like young boys will do. Because some of them may have eaten in the morning and some of them did not. But by midday, you would have thought these boys were going to expire from hunger. Like, our bellies have been turned into pots of burning fire. We can't go on. Help. Like, you're fine. But they're not fine. His heart softened with love. Krishna smiled slightly to reveal his beautiful teeth that are as white as kunda flowers. So steps 3 and 4. Step 3, express gratitude for what you already have. And then step 4 is your final ask. Yeah, state your final push for what you need. So those are the 4 steps of prayer with Sachinandan Maharaj's help, which I've heard get amazingly great results. Try it out and then let me know what happens throughout the week. So step 1, glorify Krishna. Step 2, describe your situation. Okay? Honestly. Step 3, express some gratitude for what you already have. And then step 4 is your final request. Sum it all up with your final request. It's like the perfect essay formula for prayer. And I guarantee you, many people have told me that it works amazingly. And also, I can take Sachinandan Swami's word for it because I trust that man with everything that I know. He is so mystical. He is so amazing. And I am so sure that he has seen some spiritual things that I also would like to see. So, yeah, that's your 4-step process. Try it out throughout the week. Let me know how it works. Try it with big things, small things. Let's see. So apparently, this method of prayer softens Krishna's heart with love. How adorable. Then he advised his friends. O Sakas, listen. I will help you by telling you how to get relief from your misery. Not far from here are some very powerful and blissful Brahmanas who are respected by the best of sages. They are performing the Angirasa sacrifice to gain promotion to heaven. They have attained brilliant fame because of their broad minds and liberal distribution of food. Besides their expertise in Vedic rituals, these Grihastha Brahmanas, which means that they were not celibate, they were householding Brahmanas, can easily dispel anyone's ignorance with their vast knowledge. Now, quickly, go offer obeisances to them, address them respectfully, and lovingly beg some foodstuffs in our names. Being ordered by Krishna, the pious, soft-hearted cowherd boys expertly and joyfully made their way to the Yagyashala, sacrificial arena. Even though they were tired, the boys eagerly went to beg from the Brahmanas. Upon entering the Yagyashala, they enjoyed seeing the sacrificial fire and the dense clouds of smoke. The smell of burning ghee gratified their noses, and the warm air soothed their sense of touch. I could just see the boys all like moving in as a group, and they get in there, and then there's this big fire, and as boys are, they're like, whoa, and it's getting smoke all over the place, and like, ooh, so mystical over here. I just see them enjoying themselves so much, because that's what cowherd boys do. They just enjoy themselves. Hearing the Brahmanas' melodious singing of the Samaveda delighted their ears. The thought that they would soon receive some tasty foodstuffs to offer to Krishna made their tongues salivate in anticipation. Thus the cowherd boys gratified their senses at the gorgeously decorated Yagyashala. I like that sentence because it reminds me that in service to Krishna is kind of actually not much wrong with gratifying the senses. Service to Krishna should also gratify the senses. It should not be a situation, and I've spoken to my mentors and so many senior devotees about this, and we've had conversations and laughed, because sometimes when people see kirtaniyas and we are really trying to elevate our kirtan, practicing maybe, learning scales, sometimes we can be laughed at or jeered at. What do you think you're doing? Like, you're trying to make it sound like regular music, but this is supposed to be devotional. And what I said to one of my mentors was, funny, nobody says that when it comes time for prasadam. Nobody looks at the feast and says, oh my, this looks like food. How could you? Right? Everybody wants the cook to learn how to cook really well, not simply to cook in order to keep body and spirit together, right? Like, nobody's getting the cook for their temple that only knows how to make oatmeal and the blandest khichdi ever, and is like, this is what we want to feed them every day. No, you want tasty preparations because we're going to offer it to Krishna. Similarly, no one says that in deity service either, right? Oh, look at this outfit with all the jewels and the things on. How could you? No, we want everyone to become really expert in their field. So this is what Krishna consciousness is all about. When it is to be used in the service of Krishna, there's actually nothing wrong with gratifying the senses. It should look sensually pleasing. It should feel wonderful to the touch. I had a kirtan guru who also was a cooking guru, because he would cook and do kirtan. Like, it was amazing. And he would often say at the end, he would look and he would say, not right yet. And he would add in something, a garnish, to add more color, to add more vibrancy to a dish, or to balance out the colors. If a dish was too green, he would add in a tomato. Let it balance out. Let it look wonderfully pleasing. Let it look colorful and bright and amazing, because we're offering this to Krishna. And then we're going to offer it to the Vaishnavas. And pleasing the Vaishnavas pleases Krishna even more than us just offering it to him. Why wouldn't we want it to be the most amazing sensory experience ever, whatever we are offering? Whether it is our kirtan, whether it is a speech, whether it is a feast, whether it is deity dressing. My mom, she would often, because she sews for Radha Govinda, and she would dress Radha Govinda, the very deities who are behind me. And she would say that her hope and her prayer was that when the curtains open on special darshan days, that everyone would gasp and their eyes would fill with tears just looking at Krishna. Right? What a goal. These are service goals. This is what I think of when I'm thinking about it. Now imagine. Stay with me, right? Here we go. Imagine applying this principle to japa. Our japa should be a full sensory experience. Maybe there's soft flute playing in the back because I can remember my Krishna that way. Maybe there's nice incense burning so that we can smell the incense and we remember Krishna. Incense that has been offered to Krishna, which, by the way, under so many limbs of devotional service, simply smelling the incense that has been offered to Krishna is considered devotional service. So not only are you performing devotional service by chanting the holy name, you are also performing devotional service simply by smelling the incense that has been offered to Sri Krishna. Imagine with each touch of the beads we're thinking, I am oiling the body of my dearest friend. We can hear the sound of the Maha Mantra and know that within our hearts, every single pastime, every single quality of Krishna's is inherent in this one Maha Mantra. And then we can also know and feel fearless in the fact that the holy name can reciprocate with us by giving us everything. Leela's saying that our neighbors are going to smell the incense too. You know, I really hope so. Have you ever been in an apartment building or a place where it's like, what are y'all doing? And then sometimes I'm like opening windows and lighting the strongest incense that I have, hoping to combat whatever else is out there. So yeah, sometimes I really hope so. I hope I'm purifying this whole building. I hope everybody's making some spiritual progress. And they will. Simply by thinking, oh, my weird neighbor is burning that incense again, but it smells nice. Right? Like, you know, just take it in. So it should be a full sensory experience. Service to Krishna, it should not be impersonalistic or void. So if we are not in touch with the senses and how to serve Krishna, it does become a little void-like. We're in a vacuum of nothingness. And somehow or other, not only can we not get ourselves to think of nothing, but we can't get ourselves to feel nothing. We feel something. Sometimes it's loneliness. Sometimes it's emptiness. But we feel something. Wow. One of my friends is saying that they offer incense for the rest of the household. Wow. The dog loves devotional service. I find that animals actually really do like Krishna consciousness. They're much more simple-hearted than people, and by simple-hearted, I mean that they readily accept things that are good for them. And then they reject things that are bad for them. Animals have a very simple nature. And us humans, we have all this thought, you know? And sometimes with that thought comes a higher level of consciousness. But also with all that higher level of consciousness comes a situation where we keep accepting the things that are bad for us. Animals, they find out very quickly, this is bad for me. I'm not going over there again. And then, you know, animals get a bad reputation for that. Oh, you know, you can train a dog. Yeah, I'd also like to train myself to not keep going over to where the things are bad for me and just stay by the feet of my master where it's safe, where I feel that love and affection. It's so simple. I want to cultivate that simplicity in my heart. Okay, let's continue. Let's see what happens next. I love it. Thank you for Ashi in the YouTube chat putting up some of these steps of prayer. You're a rock star. I appreciate you. Okay, diving back in. As Ramachandra, the Lord of the Raghu dynasty, is called the Treta Yuga Avataram because he appeared in Treta Yuga. Similarly, this Yagyashala is also Treta Yuga Avataram because it has three types of fires: Ahavanya, Dakshina Agni, and Garapatya. As the city of Ayodhya is Visharayuparam, or beside the flowing waters of the famous river Sharayu, similarly, this sacrificial fire is Visharayuparam, always receiving a constant supply of wood. As King Bhagirat, who was an ancestor of Sri Ram, is Samunita Praguvangshan, the deliverer of his ancestors, similarly, this yajna is Samunita Praguvangshan, or situated on the eastern side of the house. Its presence beautifies the homes of the Brahmanas' patrons. So right now, basically, authors get to really show off their poetic skill and their literary devices. And in Vedic times, people were very, very proud of that. So this is what we're getting, a little bit of this, and how vast the Vedas are and these scriptural teachings are. And in relation to Krishna, one word we could spend several episodes of see-through deciphering. A Brahmin boy who has not completed his brahmachari life is Samekala Kundalamsam, or handsome with his waist belt and ropes made from munja grass draped over his shoulder. Similarly, this Yajnik Shala is Samekala Kundalamsam, embellished with different raised seats placed around the fire pits. As the heart of one relishing rasas becomes Sampurnam Pravishta, full by entering the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. Similarly, the Yagyashala is Pravishta Rasa Sampurnam, complete by its abundance of kusha grass. As a house has a kitchen full of cooking pots to serve its guests, similarly, this Yagyashala is full of pots of pure ghee and water. As a separated lover's eyes always glisten with tears, similarly, this Yagyashala always shines with flames. During the rainy season, rivulets swell with water, Vishal Purna Patram, and make the middle of the river very deep. Similarly, in the middle of the Yagyashala, there are Vishal Purna Patram, deep pots full of foodstuffs. Clubs are used to chastise a gentle, saintly person in the royal assembly of an evil king. Similarly, this Yagyashala has a mortar and pestle for grinding the spices and ingredients used in the sacrifice. Kshatriyas are expert in using their hands for fighting. Similarly, this Yagyashala also has kusha grass and wood called Samit Kushalam. As Mahesh is Sahom, always associated with his consort Uma. Similarly, this Yagyashala is Sahuma, always full of many oblations. Inside the Yagyashala, the cowherd boys saw many Yajnik Brahmanas chanting hymns from the Samveda. Similarly, of the 4 ways to control somebody, one is called Sama, appeasement or making friends. As one enjoys embracing his lover to his chest, similarly, hearing the precise enunciation of the hymns pleased everyone's heart. You ever hear somebody that can recite verses really, really well? And it does something, you know? You really understand the spiritual weight of these verses. Sometimes I hear people, I'm like, wow, ooh, that was really good. It makes me want to learn the verse just by hearing them recite it. So I can understand how this would be pleasing to somebody's heart. Just as sages have beautiful locks of matted hair, Sujatakam. Similarly, the hymns chanted by the Brahmanas contained many sweet tunes, Sujatakam. The breasts of young ladies appear firm and beautiful, Susamhitam. Similarly, the Brahmins singing sounded like a tightly composed display, Susamhitam, of beautiful poetry. What kind of Yajnik Brahmanas were they? As a worshipper is well versed in acting according to the proper time. Similarly, these Brahmanas perform the yajnas exactly at the auspicious time of morning and evening. Kshatriyas attain the wealth of victory in battle by repeatedly using their bows. Similarly, the Brahmanas have become wealthy by constantly doing yajnas. After examining the Yagyashala, the cowherd boys walked slowly forward. Although they smelled the sweet aroma of the sacrificial fire, Their stomachs remained empty and dissatisfied. Their bangles and ankle bells jingled sweetly as they bowed respectfully on the ground before the Brahmanas. Even the King of Heaven esteemed these austere and renowned Brahmanas, who always received the seat of honor at any festival. As personifications of Vedic knowledge, they exhibited extreme gravity, yet they had deep personal feelings. In deep rumbling voices, the cowherd boys addressed the Brahmanas. "O worshipable and cultured ones, please listen to us. We are friends of Balaram and Damodar, coming here as your guests. Balaram, the embodiment of all wonderful transcendental qualities, is just nearby, talking with his younger brother. They sent us to you because you are well-wishers of everyone. You may ask why Krishna did not come with us. The answer is that Krishna is fixed in his position, just like the immovable Mount Sumeru. As oceans of compassion, you Brahmanas benefit all living entities. You always perform pious activities like digging wells, establishing parks and gardens, and making attractive walkways. Being dear to everyone, you satisfy all living entities by giving them the thing they cherish, namely food. You have become effulgent due to your fame. You are charitable and fixed in Brahman. Since we left home early this morning, we have not eaten anything or taken any rest. We are very tired and hungry from roaming all over with the cows. Balaram and Damodar also feel distressed. Although they tolerated it for a short time, now they are anxious to eat something. Therefore, they sent us to you to beg some food because you are the maintainers of Grihastha Dharma. So please make arrangements to affectionately provide us with plenty of food." Although hearing the boys, those sober Brahmanas remained silent, just like deaf men. Understanding that the Brahmanas felt no obligation to give them charity, the boys became morose. They thought that the Brahmanas were treating them like hard-hearted, invalid old men. Though wise and learned in yagyas, why did the Brahmanas ignore the humble request of the cowherd boys? Perhaps it was not their habit to entertain the requests of young children. Maybe they disregarded the boys due to their attachment to sacrificing animals, or due to enmity, foolishness, or insufficient piety, or because they had not received any mercy from the Lord. Oof. The boys' faces turned pale from disappointment. Lamenting over their failure, they unhappily returned to Krishna. Upon noticing their condition, once again, they don't have to say anything, Krishna knows. Krishna remained equipoised and displayed a mild smile on his peaceful lotus face. The faces of the boys, however, conveyed frustration in their begging attempt. At that time, Krishna thought, those Yajnik Brahmanas are not actually charitable toward others. They simply make a big show with their elaborate fire sacrifices. It seems that their charity does not extend beyond the limits of their own bellies. Although mentally disturbed, the cowherd boys tried to explain the situation to Balaram. They said, "O Ram, we have never seen such harshness as we saw today in the eyes of those Brahmanas. They are Yajnik Brahmanas in name only. Actually, they are first-class fools because they do not know the real purport of the Vedas. Mentioning your names, we begged foodstuffs, which are pleasing to the soul. What to speak of giving charity, they did not even answer us, which is the minimum response enjoined in the Vedas. But in their homes, we saw and heard them saying so many things such as cook this, fry that, let us drink, eat, come outside, come, go, take this away. We saw those Brahmanas, the crest jewel among the Jnanis, busily engaged in their houses, eating palatable foods. Outside their houses, many thousands of people milled about. Being angry, we did not bother to go there. Seeing the quality of generosity being so dishonored in the hands of the Brahmanas, we did not want to stay there for a moment. By going to them, we received nothing more than utter humiliation, whereas they enhanced their family prestige by performing a huge yajna. Oh, Krishna, our dear friend, we brought back nothing but the smoke that we momentarily inhaled at the fire sacrifice. Like the Vedic injunctions, all of your instructions are held as crushed jewels on our heads. Just as nectar never turns salty, how is it that your infallible words put us into such embarrassment? Oh, what a prayer. How many times have we thought, Krishna, I was just following your advice and now look at me. We're in good company. And as friends of Krishna, when we express ourselves honestly, just like these boys who were fearless in expressing themselves, we can also come back, even if we feel like we've been put into embarrassment or we don't know what's happening, and we could say, Krishna, you solve this. What do I do now? But the point is to honestly and openly express everything with Krishna. Just don't let your mind trick you into staying away, because that's what the mind loves to do. It didn't work out the first time. This Krishna's words must be false. Don't go back there and ask him anything. Don't even tell him about your situation, because it must be false. So now the cowherd boys are saying, how is it that your infallible words have landed us in such embarrassment? Keep that. I'm also going to keep it. Speak to Krishna as the cowherd boys are speaking to Krishna, because we have earned a very intimate relationship with the Supreme Person. So, like the Vedic injunctions, all of your instructions are held as crushed jewels on our heads, just as nectar never turns salty. How is it that your infallible words put us into such embarrassment? Krishna smiled mildly and spoke some sweet, pleasing words mixed with cleverness. Oh, you boys, why are you affected by false anger? You should not have such a defiant, antagonistic mood like a newly married woman. Wow, apparently they're fiery when they first get married. It is natural that your minds are disturbed because selfish people like those Brahmanas always cause suffering to others. Finding the faults in others is the habit of common people, but you should not see like this. Being preoccupied with the yajna, the Brahmanas obviously could not attend to you. Listen carefully. You should follow my perfect advice and achieve the desired result. The wives of the Brahmanas are also present in the Yajna. They were not pregnant, they were present. But they are embodiments of kindness, compassion, and purity. They possess the wealth of having completely surrendered their minds to me. So if you feel like you've completely surrendered to Krishna in whichever way you can, know that you are the most wealthy person in the universe. It might not look like it at this moment in time, but I promise you, if you stick with it, you will see it. Just like I happened to see a parrot in New York. Oh my God, so cute still. Still, every day I'm like, are you still there? Where are you? Friend! I'm still trying to get it to become my best friend. I have pumpkin seeds ready. I'm gonna try, figure it out. Next step is pomegranate seeds. So, they possess the wealth of having completely surrendered their minds to me. Although they are women, they do not take pride in turning beggars away from their doors. These women do not see anything unfavorable from my service. They immediately feel ecstatic upon hearing my name and viewing my transcendental form. They will happily give you plenty of food to remove your hunger. Besides being adorned in golden ornaments, the wives of the Brahmanas regularly receive and willingly distribute gold in charity. Although they are Brahmanas' wives, instead of sitting on the ground like ordinary women, they sit on golden thrones like queens, with their bodies radiating a splendid luster. See what devotion gets you? Feeling gladness within your hearts, go to their private quarters. In my name, ask for abundant foodstuffs, which will bring you all satisfaction. The wives of the Brahmanas, who are just like desire trees, will definitely gratify your cherished desires. Oh, my friends, taking my words as a Vedic injunction, which is dear to you and to them, go there again and beg for food. Imagine Krishna having so much faith in us that he says, I know my devotee. I know my devotee is a wellspring of gratitude and compassion and pure soft-heartedness. Go to my devotee. My devotee won't turn you away. My devotee will make space for you. I have faith in what my devotee is saying, so much so that you can take my words as a Vedic injunction. I want Krishna to have that much faith in me. But I also know that that faith doesn't come without testing it. Which means that I'm going to have a lot of reasons to be compassionate. Lord, help me. But with each moment that tests my compassion, my patience, my tolerance, I can remind myself, this is building Krishna's faith in me. Krishna is watching, going, but I know my devotee. I know they won't disappoint me. I know exactly what my devotee will do because they are filled with love for me. That makes it a little bit better. It doesn't change the fear, even as we'll see with the wives of the Brahmanas. They still had some fear and trepidation, but it does make it better. So let's see what happens. Being inspired by Krishna's powerful presentation, it's like the original PowerPoint, you know? The Gopas left the garden full of fresh creepers. Riding the waves of pleasure, they quickly returned to the Yagyashala. In a submissive mood, they approached the private chambers of the wives of the hard-hearted Brahmanas. Just as lightning spreads throughout the sky and earth, similarly the boys saw the Brahmanas' wives fully ornamented with the effulgent wealth of prestige. As the lightning and rain in Shravan month become separated from the clouds, similarly the Brahmanas' wives had given up sense enjoyment due to separation from Krishna. Although lightning flashes out of a cloud in a harsh way, the Brahmanas' wives appeared soft-hearted. Lightning flashes brilliantly for a moment and is then detached from the body of the cloud, but the bodies of the Brahmanas' wives always emitted an attractive radiance. So they were more powerful than the lightning. As lotuses grow in the water on straight stems, similarly, the wives of the Brahmanas spoke in a straightforward way. The wives of the Brahmanas resembled golden creepers of flowing beauty, moving here and there. But in separation from Krishna, they could not find any pleasure. Even without the night, they exhibited effulgences rivaling the glowing full moon. In the absence of Krishna, however, they always felt unhappy. This is something that I've actually used. There are some days where I cannot put my finger on it, but I just feel depressed and unhappy with life. And it's like there's nothing that can make it better. I just feel in this mood of just like, ugh, one of those days. And then I ask myself, have I chanted good japa today? Usually that's the issue. Then issue number 2 is getting my mind out of the rut to move and then do the thing that will make me better. I will find out the problem and then still not take the cure. It's a real problem with my very, very stubborn bull-like mind. But I'm hoping that Krishna, as an expert cowherd boy, can corral that stubborn bull of my mind. And sometimes, when I find it impossible to get that bull to move, I read. And somehow reading, even just a little bit about Krishna's pastimes, next thing I know, I'm in a completely different heart space and head space, and I don't even know when it happened. But somehow the cloud of the day has lifted, and I realize I'm still here, And I'm still given the greatest opportunity of a lifetime every day, which is to use the moments of my free will simply to surrender to my best friend. Usually makes my day a lot better. And then I go and I take the cure of the holy name. But sometimes I need Krishna's sweet transcendental nature to move that bull of my mind that is stuck, entrenched, and not moving. But it is lured by the scent of Krishna's pastimes somehow or other. There's something mystical about Krishna. So these Yajna Patnis always felt unhappy because they felt separated from Krishna. Sometimes we can ask ourselves, when we're having such a bad day, have I chanted good japa today? Has it been loving and affectionate japa? Or did I rush through? And sometimes maybe we have time just for one more round. 7 minutes maybe, to chant some loving japa and see if it turns our day around. The Yajna Patnis, the wives of the Brahmanas, existed like the personified flames of a fire. Their saintly qualities derided the fame of Arundhati, the chaste wife of Brahmarishi Vasishthadev. Somehow, they maintained a joyful state by the strength of their affection for Krishna, which acted like a celestial herbal medicine to sustain them, and burned like the steady flame of an oil lamp. So the strength of our affection for Krishna can maintain us. During any ceremony, these beautiful Brahmana ladies always behaved perfectly, according to time and place. They displayed the limit of worldly conduct by welcoming their guests with sweet words and serving them first-class food. Due to their love for the Lord, they knew how to act properly in all circumstances. As vines of parental affection, they could not ignore the pleas of hungry children. Tolerating the shouts of their angry husbands, they appeared as the embodiments of forgiveness on the earth. Each one of them exhibited many attractive qualities, such as purity of purpose and absolute dedication to the Lord. I love that those are attractive qualities. It has nothing to do with what their bodies look like. Their attractive qualities were purity of purpose and absolute dedication to the Lord. Every single one of us can become the most beautiful. Their wealth surpassed even that of the heavenly king Indra, who protects others with his thunderbolt. Upon seeing the Yajna Patnis, the boys immediately said, "O magnanimous wives of the greatest Brahmanas, we offer our obeisances to your pinkish lotus feet that are the source of generosity and happiness. We are close friends of Krishna, the personification of all knowledge. Please listen to our humble appeal." That one utterance of Krishna's name resonated within the ears of the Brahmanas' wives millions of times over. Startled and astounded, they forgot everything and exclaimed, "What kind of enchanting mantra is this?" I know the boys are trying to explain their situation. They're still back on Krishna. You had me at Govinda. Just as a she-deer becomes helplessly attracted by the sweet flute melodies of a hunter, similarly, the Yajna Patnis swooned in ecstasy upon hearing the sound of Krishna's name. Imagine. The pure-hearted wives of the Brahmanas, who appeared on the earth like the predominating deities of the Upanishads, stopped cooking and looked respectfully at the cowherd boys while fixing their minds in meditation. Inspired by Krishna's reassuring words, the boys smiled pleasantly and completed their request to the ladies. "O wives of the Brahmanas, we are very hungry. We did not take any breakfast and have been playing all day. The prince of Vrindavan, who is the reigning Cupid of this world and the object of your worship, sent us to beg food. Krishna is waiting nearby with his elder brother Balaram, who always showers Krishna with joy and shines with the power of King Indra. Our dear friend Krishna is known throughout the world. Surely you must have heard about him from the lips of the great devotees. Even as a baby, he made the cruel witch Putana famous by giving her the post of his nurse. As a small boy, he pushed the terrible Trinavarta demon into the earth and turned Bakasura into an ugly corpse. He vanquished the venomous serpent Agasura and banished Kaliya from the Jamuna. What more can we say about his fantastic exploits? The glories of all the demons and devotees in the entire material manifestation cannot compare with a drop in the ocean of Krishna's unlimited nectarian glories. Upon hearing these words, the hearts of the ladies immediately melted in ecstatic love. They felt that the great treasure of Krishna's form, which is a constant flow of beautiful nectar, appearing as an inconceivable, eternal existence, had suddenly manifest before them. So simply by hearing the name, fame, and qualities of Krishna, somehow we are seeing Krishna ear to eye. Yeah. Mystically, we can see Krishna with our ears. We can feel him through his holy name and through his mercy. We can embrace Krishna heart to heart. I want to get to that point where my kirtan, my japa, my prayer is strong enough, where I can hear, see, and feel my best friend. The thought of directly meeting Krishna stole the chariots of their minds. There we go again. Somehow or other, the eternal perfection that they desired for so long was now appearing before them. Drowning in an ocean of bliss, their eyes flooded with tears, and their tender creeper-like bodies erupted in blissful bumps. Their senses went numb and stopped working. The transformation infused them with new life. This newly acquired good fortune enhanced their beauty. Their bodies displayed a splendid elegance as the intensity of their desire to meet their beloved increased more and more. Nourished by such hankering, the eyes of the Yajna Patnis filled with the form of Krishna. Seeing their increasingly ecstatic condition, the cowherd boys felt perplexed. While looking at each other with astonishment, they said, "Upon hearing our appeal, these respectable ladies went mad with the desire to see Krishna. Their actions are very strange. They are not moving, speaking, or looking at anything. Alas, has some evil planet mesmerized them? It is not surprising that the Brahmanas treated us rudely and totally ignored us. They did not even acknowledge our arrival or give us anything. But we are amazed that the lotus-eyed wives failed to give us anything, even after attentively hearing our request and showing so much loving affection and intention to serve." So, here we go. More lessons. What happens when we don't get what we want the first time we pray, and then we go back to Krishna with our prayer of, "How could your nectar-sweet words have turned bitter, and your infallible words landed me in such embarrassment?" And then Krishna says, "Okay, go again." And we think, do you know how terrifying that is? Yes, go again. And then you go again, and it looks as though everything should line up in your favor. And then it seems very confusing, because they're still not moving or giving us anything. Do we have faith in the rest of the story? Do we have faith that what Krishna says, "No, go back, this time it will work"? Oh boy. And we spoke about Sugriva and Bali last time, when Sugriva really had his faith tested. And he was pummeled upon the first attack with Bali. And then Sri Ram says, "Wear this garland and go back again." And Sugriva is thinking, what? I barely have recovered from the last beating. I'm still sore and bruised. You want me to go back? And as he goes back, he actually starts getting beat again. Now, is this the part where we think, oh, I knew this would happen, in the negative way? Or can we hold on to the, I knew Krishna would come through for me, in the positive way? For me, I have to say, I might start having some double thoughts, I don't know. Am I sure in what Krishna said? But I want to start training myself to hold on to, I knew Krishna was going to come through for me. It was looking a little sketchy for a minute, and it looked hairy, but I knew Krishna was going to come through for me. These boys somehow have such faith that Krishna will come through for them. Krishna's words can't be proven false. So, who can understand the mentality of the Yajna Patnis? How did their behavior change so radically? Something created a sweet mellow within their minds and made them ecstatic. That transformation could neither remove the cause nor remove the effect. While the humble cowherd boys talked in this way, the wives of the Brahmanas, although failing to respond verbally, went directly into their huge kitchens, which were thoroughly stocked by their maidservants. On a large plate, they expertly piled up rice, vegetables, and other delicious food which represented their loving desire to please Krishna. The delectable items included creamy cakes, sweetbreads, chapatis, yogurt, and a complete array of delicacies to lick, chew, drink, and suck. They lovingly prepared foods of all the 6 tastes. Just as the caves and gentle wind blowing on Govardhan Hill serve the Lord, similarly, they collected many kinds of root vegetables to please the Lord. Before offering them, they artistically arranged all the fragrant, juicy, delicious, and colorful preparations. So once again, we come full circle to our Krishna consciousness should be a sensory experience and should be artistically done, because this represents our desire to please Krishna. How intense is our desire to please Krishna? We are simply seeking and hoping to get better according to our own qualifications and our own abilities. Just as a woman beautifies herself by wearing golden ornaments, similarly, the varieties of attractive vegetables like shak and shukta embellished the offering. As the minds of the Yajna Patnis enriched with spontaneous bliss, similarly, the opulence of the offering increased by adding first-class dals and soups. As a divine weapon released in a battle is invincible, similarly, the different varieties of cooked spinach acquired undefeatable tastes and qualities. The ladies scented the offering with their pure desire to prepare everything with love and devotion. Just as the Ganges looks beautiful flowing past Kashi, similarly, the wonderful varieties of food looked very attractive. According to their heart's desires, the Yajna Patnis put these foods in golden pots with crystal lids. Wow. The pots glittered attractively from the different objects reflected on their crystal lids. The ladies covered the pots with fine white cloth. Ignoring the many people milling about the sacrificial arena, they held the pots on their upraised lotus palms and walked out. Those best of ladies appeared like many-branched desire trees moving on the earth to satisfy the needy. While walking along, they communicated with each other through eye movements and occasionally turned their lotus faces towards Krishna's friends. The submissive cowherd boys ran ahead, showing the way to Krishna. Somehow or other, we will be under the shelter of merciful Vaishnavas, Brijbasis, who will run, shouting loudly, showing us the way to Krishna. So sweet. Feeling ecstatic, The cowherd boys spoke in soft, joyful voices to indicate the proper direction. The ladies looked like beautiful lotus flowers wandering over the earth. By carrying pots of food in their lotus palms, they became as fortunate as the gopis, who always associate with Krishna. Refulgent as golden lotuses, the Yajna Patnis held the pots and walked with the grandeur of a band of she-elephants. The weight of their excessive love for Krishna appeared like a heavy jeweled necklace in their hearts. Anxiety filled their minds. Due to the heavy weight of their pots, full breasts and hips, the ladies proceeded slowly and steadily toward the Lord of their hearts. Though walking was painful, because they were surrendered souls, they felt no inconvenience while going to Krishna. Due to conflicting moods of transcendental ecstasy, they sometimes ran toward their beloved, or stumbled and progressed very slowly. The soft jingling of their waist bells and the runujunu sound of their ankle bells vibrated sweetly as they moved. After going a short distance, they saw the plants and creepers of Braj bending down in a humble, blissful way. From this, they assumed that Krishna, the ocean of all transcendental qualities, must be nearby. They went mad due to their intense love for the Lord. Suddenly, they saw an effulgence more beautiful than a dense rain cloud, a mound of kajal, and a bouquet of blue lotus flowers combined. Aho, upon meeting their faces, Krishna's effulgence turned into a kajal to surround their eyes and reflect on their hair parts. Touching their necks, his effulgence embraced them as a garland of blue lotus flowers. Krishna's effulgence turned into tamal flowers to wrap around their ears. When Krishna's effulgence touched their chests, it rested there as a necklace of blue sapphires. Illuminating their bodies, Krishna covered them with the blue dress of his effulgence. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so earlier I said I couldn't interact with a light. And now I see that when coming in contact with Krishna, the Supreme Person, you can interact with everything. So maybe I just need to come in closer contact to Krishna, the Supreme Person, and then also his effulgence will cast its little bit of shine on me too. All of the best things that we have within us are sparks of Krishna's splendor, which means that Krishna's effulgence has touched us in some way. So the next time that you are viewing yourself in a mirror or thinking about yourself in a positive way, which I think we should all do for some time every day, remember that all of these positive things about us, our intelligence, our mood of surrender, a little bit of love that we have, our powerful emotions, our power to accept others, our kindness, our compassion, our tolerance, our forgiveness. These are all ways in which Krishna's effulgence has touched us. We are constantly wearing a necklace of Krishna's effulgence. It is spreading its light over all of our lives in some way, shape, or form. We simply have to open our eyes to see it. That helps us in step 3, expressing gratitude for what we already have, right? And sometimes we're like, but I don't have any gratitude because I have nothing. We have something. We have Krishna's effulgence over our lives, some way, somehow. So that's, cheat code for step 3 in the prayer formula. Krishna covered them with the blue dress of his effulgence. I wish for the same. With unblinking eyes, the wives of the Brahmanas beheld their beloved Shyam before them. Resting his left arm on Subal's shoulder, Krishna looked like a wave in an unlimited ocean of beauty. He playfully twirled a lotus flower in his right hand, while simultaneously spinning the minds of the ladies with loving agitation. He wore a peacock feather on his turban, golden yellow cloth around his body, and a garland of forest flowers and leaves hung from his neck. Sandalwood paste and colored minerals adorned his transcendental body. Krishna released a shower of nectar with his attractive bright smile that was more splendorous than the moonshine. Like someone greeting a desirable guest, the ladies opened the doors of their eyes in ecstasy and welcomed Shyam Sundar into their hearts. Although Krishna appeared like a prankish paramour lover, his frivolous behavior charmed their hearts. The ladies considered, is he a dramatic dancer about to enact a wonderful pastime? Is he Cupid personified? Or is he the embodiment of conjugal love? Is he the personified bliss of love? Is he the very form of pleasurable pastimes? All these questions raced through the excited minds of the Yajna Patnis. Due to absorption in thoughts of Krishna, they acted boldly, free from doubts and hesitation. This should be us when we finally get to the point of surrender. Due to absorption in thoughts of Krishna, we can act boldly, free from doubts and free from hesitation. Conquered by love, they lost control of their minds while tasting the mellow of their relationship with the Lord. Having taken complete control of their senses, Krishna entered their hearts, came outside, and again re-entered their hearts. During this experience, the Yajna Patnis thought, how amazing! Our beloved Shyam Sundar is standing before us and simultaneously standing in our hearts. In such a bewildered state, the ladies saw Krishna inside their hearts when they closed their eyes. And upon opening their eyes, they saw their beloved before them. Although satisfied to see Krishna within their hearts, they moved closer to him upon opening their eyes. The wives looked very beautiful, holding the offerings of food in their attractive lotus bud-like hands. Just as a desire tree fulfills the heart's desires, similarly, Krishna felt satisfied seeing the beautiful bodies of the ladies, which appeared like glittering vines growing in a celestial pleasure garden. Krishna joyfully addressed those doe-eyed ladies. Oh, my dear ones, did you suffer any inconvenience in coming here? Oh, fortunate ladies, please sit down and make yourselves comfortable. I can see you have great love for me because you have personally brought me foodstuffs. My mother said that we should never go to the temple empty-handed. And now I am seeing this in full force. It is so incredible. Krishna's like, I can see you have love for me. You brought me food. Bringing food is a love language. I can see you have great love for me because you have personally brought me foodstuffs. There is no way I can repay you for your wonderful service. May you find complete satisfaction in your love for me, and thus relieve me of my debt to you. Krishna says this similarly to the gopis. Krishna's sweet, deep voice sounded like rumbling clouds. He soothed the ears of the Yajna Patnis with his love-soaked, distinctly pronounced words, which were sweeter than the drops of nectar falling from the autumn moon. The wives of the Brahmanas thought they had attained the pinnacle of fortune just by hearing him. Taking Krishna through the aperture of their lotus eyes, they embraced him within their hearts. Melting in rapturous joy, they relinquished all fears and anxieties. With their creeper-like hands, those fortunate ladies offered the fragrant flowers of their affection to worship their beloved. Krishna enchanted the minds of the Brahmanas' wives by saturating them with spiritual bliss, and he completely removed the painful fire of separation. Krishna continued speaking. You should return to your husbands and finish the sacrifice. I am pleased by persons who worship me in my form as the enjoyer of sacrifices." Although Krishna's splendid face glowed like the full moon, instead of pouring out heavenly nectar, he delivered bitter poison in the form of unpalatable words. The frustration of the Brahmanas' wives' long-awaited desires drained all the color from their bodies. Their minds had become fully attached to Krishna by repeatedly hearing about him from the lips of the Brijbasis. Upon their arrival and initial meeting with Krishna, he encouraged their blossoming desires by saying, "Come and sit down." Then a few minutes later, he destroyed the flourishing creeper of their desires and made them miserable. Their faces turned pale and cheerless. Due to being completely ignored, an unbearable pain supplanted the joy they previously felt. Their hearts, severely hurt, tears gushed out of their closed eyes. Just as a demigoddess does not cast a shadow, similarly, these grief-stricken ladies no longer flashed their brilliant effulgences. Wow. What an interesting way to know if you've been in the presence of a demigoddess. Apparently, they do not cast shadows. So, sometimes, if you feel you're in the midst of somebody, you're like, I wonder about you. Maybe look and see if they cast any shadows. Friends, I can tell you, I definitely cast all the shadows in the world. Much as I'd like to compare myself. I have seen my own shadow. So I cannot lay claim. Just as the light in an oil lamp diminishes with the exhaustion of fuel, similarly, the natural glow of the Brahmana ladies eventually decreased to nil. Giving up their shyness, the wives appealed to Krishna with choked voices. "O Almighty One, you are the dearest one to all living entities. Please do not speak such cruel words that pierce the core of our hearts like a thunderbolt. Please listen attentively, and do not deprive us of the pleasure of seeing you, for if you do, we will surely die. How could such a thing happen? Alas, does a river rushing out of a mountain peak turn back and take shelter inside the mountain? Of course not. Rather, it flows naturally toward the ocean, which remains neutral and unaffected. You are everything for those who have nothing in this world. O Murari, we have no one else in this world but you. Therefore, we can no longer find any pleasure in returning home. In dense darkness, one may make a mistake and go in the wrong direction. But by the power of his piety, he may come to the right path. Similarly, if without any endeavor a blind man attains divine vision, he will not reject that fortune. Alas, no doubt you are learned in ethics and morality, but these words of yours are devoid of love and affection. Until now, we have maintained our lives solely by hearing your name and fame. You emanate the beauty, splendor, and sweetness of 1,000 cupids. But where is your sweetness now? O Damodar, although you are proud, please listen to us for a few moments. You have promised never to reject anyone who serves you and once says, "O Lord, from today on, I am yours." Now please keep your promise. We have given up the dark cave of household life, which is nothing but a bitter path full of the thorns of hard work. Now please accept us as your maidservants. Our husbands, fathers, sons, brothers, relatives, and friends will no longer take us back. They will reject us and laugh at us. Even the sinful people will criticize us. But despite all of this, we offer our bodies in the service of your lotus feet. Therefore, O Lord, we humbly beg you to please show us your compassion. Please take control of the chariots of our minds and quickly grant us our cherished desire. There's a third time that chariot of the mind has popped up. I love it. So, sometimes we can beg Krishna, please take control of the chariot of my mind and quickly grant my cherished desire. That goes along with step number 4, the final request. O compassionate one, We are fully surrendered souls, so please accept us. Intoxicate us with the shower of your nectarian association. On our heads and breasts, we respectfully hold the fragrant flowers which you neglectfully kick away with your lotus feet. Until now, the Yajna Patnis had carefully concealed their love for Krishna within their hearts. Now their bodies, covered with bumps of ecstatic delight, clearly revealed their intense attachment to the Lord. The face of Damodar gleamed attractively, like the soothing rays of the full moon. His leaf-like lips bathed in a sweet smile, and his white teeth shone with a slightly reddish hue, resembling pomegranate seeds. After hearing the pleasing prayers of the Yajna Patnis, Krishna said, "Listen attentively as I fill your ears with the truth. Such stubborn behavior does not befit you. You should understand that a self-controlled person who surrenders to the scriptures and hears about me, chants my name and glories, and meditates on my form, can very easily bring me under his control. Such perfection is not achieved by physical proximity to me. O upholders of truth, please therefore return to your homes and meditate on me. By this practice you will get free from material bondage and attain me, the friend and Lord of all creation." Actually, in this birth, as the wives of Brahmanas, it will not be beneficial for you to physically associate with me, a member of the Vaishya community. It will be better for you to think of me within your minds. I will also think of you and firmly embrace you there. Woo! Please go home and do not be in anxiety about your relatives. Do not worry. Your husbands will not be inimical toward you. Indeed, your husbands, children, and relatives are dear to you because I am residing within them in my expanded form as the Paramatma. This has a lot for us. Any of us who have families or who have known about families or who have at any time been a part of a family, which is kind of all of us, we are dealing with this. How do we balance the view of our spiritual lives as rejecting all bodily designations, and then balance that with a view of spiritual life where Krishna is telling the Yajna Patnis, go back home to your families. Think of me in your minds, and I will firmly embrace you there. Should our families be renounced? If we are wholly and solely surrendered to Krishna, should we get married? Does that mean we are splitting that attention and affection for Krishna? Here, Krishna says, no. Your family members and those that you hold dear, they are dear to you because of my presence within them, expanded as the Paramatma. So sometimes we can look at the people that we love, and just for a moment, we can acknowledge that the reason I love this person so much is because Paramatma is there. Krishna is there in his expanded form, smiling at me, interacting with me, reciprocating with my love and affection. Even though he is also within my mind and my heart reciprocating with me, but he has also shown up as a loving family member. So Srila Prabhupada says that if you happen to be surrounded by devotees, that association never has to be renounced. We don't ever have to think of retiring to the forest or any of those things. We can simply somehow surround ourselves with devotee association. So we don't have to renounce the internet. We simply have to use the internet to surround ourselves with devotee association. Find your favorite lectures and then listen to them again and again. And somehow we are in the perfect association. We are hearing about the glories of Krishna through the mouths and the lips of Brijabasis, people who have found Braj, either within the heart or physically. And they know the way, just like the cowherd boys. And they're speaking such beautiful things to show us the way to Krishna. We love them because of Krishna's presence. Only one who has been rejected by me will be envious of a person who has offered his heart to me, the form of the absolute truth. I'm going to read that again. Only one who has been rejected by me, Krishna is speaking, will be envious of a person who has offered his heart to me, the form of the absolute truth. I feel like there's so many lessons in there that we could spend like 4 episodes of see-through on it. So I'm gonna note that down for another episode where we can dive into that fully, because that is heavy. The ladies drank the nectar of Krishna's words with the cups of their ears. In this way, Krishna showed his expertise in presenting arguments from different points of view. The Yagyapatnis appreciated his reasonable words and felt great joy within their hearts. Seeing this as Krishna's mercy, they fixed their minds on him and eagerly took his handsome form into their hearts. Driven by Cupid, they disregarded Krishna's contradictory behavior and relished the splendid beauty of his wonderful transcendental form. Though perspiring and shedding tears of joy, the doe-eyed ladies somehow managed to return home. This goes with our, I knew that Krishna was going to work things out for me. Because he did. Even though it seemed like the Yagyapatnis were not verbally responding, they could not stop themselves from running to go and offer their love and affection to Krishna. So it did work out for the boys. And also, it worked out for the wives of the Brahmanas. They had been nourishing this deep attachment and romantic love for Krishna in their hearts. And so Krishna is saying, he's like, well, you're already Yagyapatnis, and I'm a Vaishya, and he's a little boy, and he's like, it wouldn't be right. Go back home, go back home, go back home. He tries this later on with the gopis. It does not work. Just precursor. He gives this advice to the Yagyapatnis, and it works. So he tries this again with the gopis. Maybe this time it'll work also. It does not work with the gopis. The gopis are not about that kind of life. They're like, we are not going back home after coming this far. One of the wives of the Brahmanas, though forcefully kept home by her angry husband, entered a state of ecstasy upon hearing descriptions of Krishna's beautiful form from the cowherd boys. Not caring for the poisonous words of her crazy husband, that's a direct quote, she absorbed herself in a loving meditation on Krishna. Then she lost external consciousness and saw Krishna manifest before her, saying, "Give up everything and come live with me in Vrindavan." After receiving this order, she prepared herself to meet Krishna. Just as one planning to visit a foreign country waits for an auspicious time, similarly, she took this as the ideal time to satisfy her desire to enjoy with Krishna in the groves of Vrindavan. On account of her complete attachment to Krishna, and because of having seen him once in meditation, she adopted the principle of rejecting a lower thing for a higher thing. Therefore, she abandoned her mood of identifying as the wife of a Brahmana. It is not very surprising, then, that she gave up her material body. Within a moment, she obtained a spiritual body and enjoyed blissful pastimes with Krishna. Attaining that direct association of Krishna naturally fills one with inconceivable delight. Her intense love for the Lord forced her to reject the control of her husband and submit herself to Krishna. No obstacle could diminish her ever-increasing love for Krishna. You know how they have like sayings on tombstones? I'm not exactly sure if they have these on samadhis, but if I had to choose something that I want to encapsulate my life, I want it to be that sentence. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. I want that sentence to be, no obstacle could diminish her ever-increasing love for Krishna. Wow. No obstacle. Although one may use his fingernails to break off a small piece from a tender creeper, that piece will continue to live and later sprout again. Similarly, it appeared that the Brahmana's wife perished with the demise of her material body, but actually, she continued to exist in her spiritual body. She continued living at home in a spiritual body just suitable for pleasing the Lord. After some time, she got the association of Krishna's intimate Braj gopis, who taught her exactly how to act to satisfy Krishna. Thus, she qualified to obtain his blissful association in the coming days. By repeatedly studying Krishna's transcendental qualities, she overcame all impediments. As the ocean waves continually break on the beach, the desire to see Krishna constantly moved in her heart. By the strength of her bhajan, she cut her bondage to Maya and developed intense yearning to attain Krishna. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, she considered her husband and family to be no more important than straw in the street. A moment later, she left her body. This amazing act eclipsed the fame of even the greatest yogi, who by deep concentration leaves his body at his own will. Taking note of her pure devotion for Krishna, the Yogic Brahmanas, who were acharyas of Vedic wisdom, felt sorrowful and condemned themselves. They said, "Alas, to hell with our lives, since we have no love for Krishna. To hell with our expertise in the rituals of sacrifice, our charitable acts, and our extensive learning. To hell with our abilities, intelligence, self-realization, and aristocratic background. To hell with our asanas, meditation and concentration, and to hell with our knowledge of tantra and mantra. Oh, although our wives have never done japa, studied the Vedas, undergone the purificatory rites, followed the formalities of cleanliness, or engaged in pious rituals, just see the pure love they have for Krishna. They never studied, nor meditated on the nature of the self. They merely heard the transcendental glories of Lord Hari from the lips of pure devotees. But just see the intensity of their love for Krishna that inspired them to act so wonderfully." Sometimes I'll get a question from someone, and they'll ask, "What happens to my grandmother, grandfather, grandparent who simply did not know about the process of chanting 16 rounds of God's name daily, and they did not know about all of these fasting days, but what if they didn't? But what if they loved God all their lives? What happens to them?" Here we have the example of the Yajna Patnis, and their husbands are saying, "They didn't do all the rules and regulations that we did, and we've been stringently following the rules and regulations, but somehow they had an intense love that we did not have." Sometimes all of the rules and all of the learning makes us hard-hearted. The Lord gives a very, very sharp warning to Durvasa Muni in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Narayan says to Durvasa Muni that all of his spiritual learning and his technological knowledge of the Vedas has turned his heart into a deserted wasteland. A desert. Krishna loves juicy, overflowing, buttery soft hearts. In sharp contrast, Lord Vishnu says to Durvasa Muni that his heart is like a sandy desert. Yikes. That is not what Krishna desires most. So somehow we are trying to change our hearts from deserts into the luscious, most effulgent, verdant, overgrown, like eco-villages of nectar for Krishna. How do we get there? Through the shower of Krishna's divine names and qualities and pastimes. Stand in that rainfall of Krishna's mercy and pastimes as often as you can. Come here to these podcasts, or listen to the previous episodes, of which there are 67 of them. Or find another speaker that you just feel connects with your heart, and then find those videos. And then when you've watched all those videos, watch them again. Find your favorite stories within the Bhagavatam and then read them again and again and again. Without feeling like the goal is to complete the whole Bhagavatam. What if the goal is to dive into the nectar sweetness of just one pastime that you love and memorize every bit of it? What if the goal is to shower ourselves in the nectar of that pastime daily? Just one pastime that you love. You don't have to memorize the whole thing. And Bhagavatam is extensive. So what if? What if the goal is not to finish everything? Like the Yajna Brahmanas, the Yajna Brahmanas are like, we've done everything, we've finished it all. What if the goal is to simply intensify our loving affection and attachment for Krishna through hearing about him? That enhances our japa. That infuses our japa with the wonderful, sweet nectar flow, which makes Krishna come running. That is what gives us the foodstuffs in a golden pot with a crystal lid that we then carry with our hands, and Krishna is thinking, I was waiting, just wondering, when would you come and see me? When will you come and find me? How incredible. We have Bhagavad Gita verses, chapter 2, verse 52. When your intelligence has passed beyond the dense forests of delusion or confusion, you shall become indifferent to all scriptural injunction in the past or the future. That doesn't mean, well, yes, but also we need them for now, because right now we are in a state of rehabilitation. We're in spiritual rehab, and so we need our 12-step progress. We need our process to help detox us from the material conditioning. And then, chapter 18, verse 65. Think of me always. Become my devotee. Sacrifice to me and bow down to me. Do this and you will come to me. I promise you this truth, for you are very dear to me. Give up all other duties and varieties of religion and simply surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sin. Have no fear. How sweet is our Krishna, giving us promises every day. We should have faith in those promises. Do we believe Krishna? Or do we go through our lives calling Krishna a liar every day? Ooh. I like to tell myself those strong things because I'm like, look, are you depending on Krishna Achyuta, or are you going through your life calling him a liar every day? And I'm like, no, I would never do that. He's my friend. It's like, so you only have two options. Either Krishna is absolutely true, or he's a liar. And if he can't be a liar, then what he says has to be absolutely true. I have to believe in his promises. So what happens to the grandparents who just loved God from the heart? They're absolutely taken care of because they have naturally occurring affection for the Lord. And that goes for any religion. That goes for any spiritual path. Also, I'd like to just say a quick thank you to Ashish Agarwal. Thank you for your kind donation. Anybody else feeling the love and yearning to send in a kind donation, yes, please do. Your support helps me to continue these kind of offerings. They inspire me in the offerings because, let's be honest, we all need them. we all need funds. So I thank you so much for your kind donation. I am so grateful for you. Thank you for being here. So, we have never seen all these incredible feelings before. Oh. Giving up all shame, our wives ignored their kinsmen and acted frivolously. Overwhelmed by the order of Krishna, they considered the requests of their husbands and relatives no more than straw. Commenting on the lady who left her body in anxiety to meet Krishna, the Brahmanas said, "What can we say about this? Only after many lifetimes of severe austerities can a perfect yogi leave his body at will by controlling his life airs and raising the Atma or the soul through the 6 chakras. Yet, in order to see her beloved Lord, this lady surmounted all obstacles and attained a position rarely achieved by the greatest yogis. Who can understand the nature of Krishna Prema? Which reminds me of what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that simply by following devotional service, you achieve the results of all the good results of everything else. Studying the Vedas, following rules and regulations, just by becoming Krishna conscious. Just by doing the best we can in every circumstance to please Krishna. So sometimes we look at all the rules and regulations, and they're there to encourage us to do the best you can. Just follow it to the best of your ability. And in the meantime, fill your mind with thoughts of Krishna. That's it. Do the best you can and fill your mind and your heart with thoughts of Krishna, and watch how Krishna propels you on the path, giving you the results of everything and all the hard work. What can we say about our cruel treatment of our wives? Although we have heard so many things, we paid no attention to their devotion to Krishna or to their requests for articles to offer him. Even though we are supposed to be intelligent, it seems the same Lord covered us with illusion in order to shower mercy upon our wives. Though ornamented with Vedic knowledge, the Brahmanas lamented deeply and fell speechless, which is such a moment of humility. The Brahmanas could have kept their arrogance, but they chose to really humbly glorify their wives, which I think is very beautiful. And it makes them a perfect candidate for mercy. When their wives returned, the Brahmanas could understand that Krishna's association had transformed them. Their wives displayed all auspicious qualities now that their hearts were saturated with divine love. The ladies were filled up to the necks with the unlimited beauty of Krishna, and they cried tears of joy. Enchanted by Krishna's delightful character, their hearts surged with continuous bliss. They existed in a transcendental realm far beyond any amount of piety and knowledge. Seeing that their wives had become liberated souls, those effulgent, broad-minded Brahmanas smiled happily. They showed more respect to their wives than ever before. Now the Brahmanas honored their wives more than they did the Shastras, Gurus, and other exalted Brahmanas. It is not surprising that they stood up and greeted their wives with great affection. Indeed, anyone who sees someone who is deeply in love with Krishna will also develop affection for Krishna. So the Brahmanas, tapping into that humility, become the perfect candidates for Krishna's mercy. So it's like, what happens to the Brahmanas? They also get love for Krishna, because Krishna gave that love to their wives, and their wives could pass it on to them. And because they were willing to accept that mercy, and they were willing to greet their wives with respect, which is incredible, they got the same loving emotions for Krishna. It is not surprising that they stood up and greeted their wives with great affection. Indeed, anyone who sees someone who is deeply in love with Krishna will also develop affection for Krishna. This is evidently seen in the wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Just coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada, they all thought, there's something about this Krishna. And clearly it is because of the deep love that Srila Prabhupada had for Krishna that he could pass that deep love on to others. I pray to become one such funnel one day, that I can pass on a love for Krishna, which means I have to get a love for Krishna. And so I'm praying that the Lord will bestow upon me such love that I can pass on to others. The Yajna Patnis who had seen Krishna praised their friend who gave up her body because she could not go out. One lady said, "No one in the world surpasses her fortune, not only in this birth, but in all her previous auspicious births, she must have enjoyed intimate pastimes with Krishna. After saying this, the wives of the Brahmanas showed indifference toward their husbands. It is Krishna's nature to reciprocate with his devotees according to their moods of love. Krishna, who is expert and soft-hearted, fulfilled the desires of the lady who gave up her body by submerging her in an unlimited river of love. He gave her the association of his dearest gopis, who always enjoyed ecstatic pastimes with him. The gopis embraced her, asked about her welfare, and taught her the art of pleasing Krishna. Radiant with pure love, she quickly attained the qualification to associate intimately with Krishna. Krishna was very happy to see this. When we achieve the goal, when we make it back home, Krishna will be very happy to see this. He is not okay seeing us fumble around here in a very depressed condition. He wants us back with him, enjoying intimately with him. How incredible is that? When we get back home, Krishna will be very happy to see it. That spurs me on every day. Knowing that my friend is not just sitting thinking, I'm fine, I have Radharani, I have millions of gopis, I'm fine without that one Achyuta gopi. Instead, Krishna is just waiting, wondering, when will my Achyuta gopi come back home? Once she gets back home, I will be very happy to see it. All of the Brijabasis will embrace us. They will welcome us into their midst, and they will teach us how to satisfy Krishna. What an incredible blessing. What an incredible message that the spiritual world is filled with acceptance. You could meet perfected people who might say, yeah, but if I welcome you, what happens to my offering? Krishna then has less time to spend with me and he'll have more time to spend with you. None of the Brijabasis think this way. They know that Krishna will still spend just as much time with them. They know it. And that is what spurs on their welcoming attitude, their compassion, their kindness, their forgiveness. They are seeing the reality of things, which is, we just want to make Krishna happy. And we know every soul that comes in contact with him makes him happy. Let us teach you the ways. We have sussed out what makes Krishna happy, and all we really care about is making Krishna happy. Whether it is you or I or both of us, whatever the case is, as long as Krishna is happy, we are feeling an unlimited bliss in our hearts. Can we give ourselves the courage to act like that now? There is no lack where Krishna is concerned. Teaching others, helping others to please Krishna, being kind and affectionate to others, welcoming others does not diminish our place in Krishna's eyes, ever. So I love a spiritual world where they don't turn anyone away who has love for Krishna. They're simply accepting. You're here? Okay, come. Let's teach you. What abilities do you have? Let's figure it out and just give the best of whatever you have to Krishna. Whether you're an animal or a tree, a plant, a creeper, a stone, a clump of grass, as Uddhava wishes to be. Lord Brahma also wishes to just be a clump of grass and somehow serve. A waterfall, a cloud, a peacock, a fruit hanging from a tree. Everyone is thinking, let us just welcome you into our midst and help you serve Krishna. The milk boiling on the stove. Everything is spiritualized and sentient, conscious in Vrindavan. And everything wants to serve. So when we see this overwhelming desire from a person who just wants to serve, we can think, how can I fan that flame? Srila Prabhupada was expert in fanning the spark. He was in the mood of the Brijabasis. The Brijabasis are in the mood of, how can I welcome this person in? And then, how can I fan the flames of their affection for Krishna? We can do this right now. We can do this right here. We don't have to give up our bodies. We don't have to do anything else. We don't have to study the Vedas for extended periods of time. We don't have to do anything but just cultivate that attitude. Someone is eager? Let me welcome them. Sometimes, personalities don't always mesh. And then we encourage them from afar. But we can think, how can I encourage them? Meanwhile, Krishna, Balaram, and their cowherd boyfriends sat down to relish the feast offered by the Brahmanas' wives. Krishna always enjoys eating food that is nicely prepared and artistically displayed. See? We spoke about this at the beginning. The delicious foodstuffs were prepared purely by the Yajna Patnis and flavored with the nectar of their deep love for Krishna. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever you give in charity, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me, Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. How do we do that? We prepare the offerings of our hearts in the best way we can, and then we flavor it with the nectar of deep love and affection for Krishna. We try to offer the best we have because that is the external manifestation and representation of our love. You don't want to ask somebody out on a date in the most wah-wah way possible. If somebody asked you out on a date on Valentine's Day and they showed up with basically nothing, no plan, nothing, and you're like, what just happened here? And they're like, it's me. I'm the Valentine's Day prize. Aren't you? Isn't this all you wanted? Well, yeah, I do like you, but shouldn't you have had a plan or a rose, something, anything to contribute? Because that is how we are showing our effort and affection for the other person. Same with Krishna. We can show our affection through our efforts. We just do the best we can, but put in some effort. And then flavor it with the nectar of deep love and affection for Krishna. And he's eager for those kinds of offerings. After finishing his meal, Krishna joked with his friends and drove the cows home. Krishna played his charming murli, his flute, in order to extinguish the fire of separation within the hearts of the Braj Gopis who were waiting all day for his return. Hearing that melodious flute, the trees, plants, creepers, and all the directions became enlivened and beautiful. Tasting the sweet nectar of Krishna's enchanting murli entrapped the birds, she-deer, and animals. Keeping his brother Balaram in front, Krishna, the embodiment of blissful prema, walked into Vrindavan, surrounded by his friends. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. All glories to this wonderful, wonderful pastime. I was really loving sharing all of this with you. So many lessons, about 2 hours worth of lessons in here for all of us. And I thank all of you who could stay for staying with me for this 2-hour-long podcast. Sometimes I get mental about the lengths of these podcasts, and then I look at other people's podcasts and they're in conversation with people, and it's like a 3-hour conversation. One podcast, I've seen it. They go on for a really long time, and so we are now in conversation with the sages of Naimisharanya. We've been in conversation with the Bhagavatam. We've been in conversation with the great saints and sages. We've been in conversation with Srila Prabhupada. We have been in conversation with Ananda Vrindavan Champu. We have been in conversation with Srila Kavi Karnapur, who wrote this wonderful, wonderful epic poetry and narration for all of us to relish. We've been drinking over and over, filling ourselves up to the neck with the qualities of our dearest supreme best friend. Filling ourselves up with lessons, with reactions. We've been able to interact with each other, which gives us life on the days when we're not here. We have all of this to look back on and think, oh, but remember that last reading and the lessons of the Yajna Patnis. I find they stay with me for days and days after. I find myself reflecting on their lives, reflecting on thinking about those who went back to their husbands and lived their lives with these people who are now Krishna conscious. How can we look at that as Vaishnav Seva? I reflect on the one who decided to leave her body and leave everything. And I think, wow, and how amazing that all the Brijbasis just welcomed her into their midst. It wasn't like she had to go and qualify and do all these things. It simply was by the nature of her heart full of love. We have been in the best company. So this is a podcast where we've been hearing from some amazing saints. One of our friends, Leela, he's saying, best guest list ever. It's true, friend. So true. And I agree. What better company could we find? What else would I be doing on a Sunday, in the morning or afternoon or evening, depending upon where you're tuning in from? So I appreciate all of you for being here. I appreciate your encouragement and your enthusiasm to be here. It is not easy, but I appreciate you. I'm aiming for the next see-through to be next Sunday. Saturday is Ekadashi, so I will be giving an Ekadashi morning lecture, so look out for that. And then Sunday is Dwadasi. So Dwadasi, I'll do that one, and it will probably be kind of kept closer to an hour because lots of things going on that day. But I'm starting birthday celebrations. So next week, we'll be diving into however many, fun things I can about Krishna. Maybe I'll talk about some of my favorite things. Maybe I'll give a breakdown of my life story. But next week we'll meet together, same time, same place. And I hope to see you all there. Your presence is my present. Come, be with me, chant with me, hang out with me. Next Saturday, if you are in the New York area and you know of the Bhakti Center, we will be hosting a community japa day from about 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. We are going to endeavor to try for a 64 round day. But for those who are coming, come for as little or as long as you like. And we will try and intersperse that with some meditations. I'm hosting it with a friend of mine. And I urge you, if you can come for a little bit of the time and you are in New York, come to the Bhakti Center next Saturday on Ekadashi during the day and just chant for a little while with us. Guest appearances will be in tow. I will give you a hint. Name starts with Ni, ends with Kai. He will be in attendance. So, and we'll also have Tulsi Devi. So please gain some spiritual strength. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that if we ever have trouble remaining attentive during our japa, he says, go and chant japa in an assembly of people who are also chanting japa. And he says, you don't have to start with the whole thing. Start with small increments, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then increase. Oh, few more rounds with people. And suddenly you're finding that your attention during japa is strengthened simply by chanting in the association of others. How amazing is that? Maybe if I can get my live streaming capabilities to work, maybe I'll live stream some of the japa, just so that we can all be together with each other on that Ekadashi, gaining some benefit. But I could not think of a better way to start birthday celebrations than by doing what I really, really love, which is chanting the holy name. I really, really love japa. And I really love Ekadashi Devi. So I feel as though the two have merged into like a super festival. And I feel really grateful that it's happening near my birthday. Not exactly on my birthday, but every day feels like a birthday when that happens. And so we can all come together and somehow or other lovingly relish Ekadashi Devi together. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you, if possible. Please come with us. Be there with us. So thank you so much for being here. I'll see you all soon. Keep writing those realizations. Keep sending them to me. I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes. Really shines a light on my day. Helps to know how many of you are listening and really taking this into your heart. And it's so encouraging to know that it helps others. And then I'm not just talking to myself. So thank you. I appreciate all of you. My absolute obeisances to all of you. You are all Vaishnav, devoted lovers of my Lord. Doesn't matter what religion you follow. You're all devoted followers of my Lord. And I bow down humbly to each and every one of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. Shri Nityananda Ram ki jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the qualities, name, fame, form, and pastimes of our dearest, supreme bestie. And all glories to all of you. And all glories to each and every single one of your hearts. Love y'all.
Her Grace Chichikobi ki jai.
I pay Leela to do that after every single one of these.
I'll be quick too.
I'll see you all next week.